Edelweiss. The first time I heard Edel's name was the year before I went to Germany. After my first year of college, I quit a house share on the Hereford Road in Galway and moved home for the summer. My former housemate, Fergal O'Dowd, phoned me soon after to gloat. "I've swapped you for a stunning blonde," he said. "What are you on about, Fergal?" "A gorgeous blonde has moved into your room." "Where did you find a gorgeous blonde?" "She's an architect, and she's just joined our firm. She's from Tipperary, and her name is Edel Tobin. Seriously, you want to see this girl. She's gorgeous. You definitely like her." Fergal was fond of describing everything and everyone as gorgeous. A day or two later, I dropped by the Hereford Road to see my old pal. We both knew why I was really there. They say it takes 3 seconds to make an impression, but it took less than that to make up my mind about Edel. As I stepped in the door of my former house share, I saw her descending the stairs. She was blonde and willowy, with alert blue eyes framed by a perfect face. I was smitten. If I had a type, Edel was it. She was elegant, tall, and striking. I thought she was perfect in every way. Even the name Edel, from the rare alpine flower Edelweiss, was auspicious, considering my love for all things German. Even though I brimmed with youthful confidence back then, I felt this girl was out of my league. There was no way I could get this girl by being myself, I thought. Straight away, I felt I needed a game plan. Desperate not to look desperate, I didn't even smile at her. Instead, I gave her an offhand nod and muttered something like, "How's it going?" She didn't even give me a second glance as she left the house minutes later. That was it. Our brief encounter was over. When Fergal quizzed to turn me, When Fergal turned to quiz me, I tried to look indifferent. If I gave him even the slightest hint I was interested, the news would get back to her. Fergal was the kind of guy who would do anything to make his friends happy, including beg Edel to go out with me. I knew I wouldn't stand a chance with her then. "Well, what do you think of her?" he asked. His eyes danced. He was pleased with himself. "Isn't she gorgeous?" I looked as if I didn't know who he was talking about. "Oh, your new flatmate," I shrugged. "She's all right, I suppose. I don't know why you keep on about her so much, though." Fergal looked crestfallen, but he soon forgot about his hopes of making a match and turned to all the other news he had to discuss. It turned out that faking disinterest wasn't a great game plan. Fergal's kind-hearted bid to fix up his single friend hadn't worked, so he hardly mentioned Edel again. As a result, I never heard where I might bump into her or if she was going out with anybody else. I dropped into the house on the Hereford Road on a few occasions, but Edel was never there. It was a whole year before I saw her again. David Lynch and I planned a going-away party in April 2000 at the Skeffington Arms Hotel on Galway's Eyre Square. We were moving to Germany after landing jobs with Deutsche British Airways. Of course, Fergal was among those invited to the party, and Edel happened to tag along with him. I hadn't directly asked her because I wasn't supposed to know who she was. Anyway, I figured there was no point trying to start something new when I was leaving the country. I saw her the instant she swept into the Skeffington with her long golden hair and her bright smile, lighting up the room. At the very end of the night, after I sank several pints of bravado, I swaggered over to her. She was putting on her coat and getting ready to leave. I hadn't spoken a word to her in a year, but it didn't matter because I flashed my most irresistible smile. Beer always made me more smooth, suave, and charming. "Hi, Edel," I said. "Where are we going tonight, then?" I thought she'd jump at the chance to leave with me for some reason. Edel looked me up and down before fixing me with a withering glare. "I don't know about you, but I'm going home," she retorted. Then she spun on her heel and walked out, taking all my boozed up confidence with her. I felt as deflated as the burst party balloons around me. There was no need for that, I thought. No need to be so bitchy. What a wagon. What a complete wagon. But oh my God, I fancied her even more now. I didn't see Edel or have any contact with her again until the summer of 2001. It was 10 months after I left for Germany and moved back home. Physically, I looked fine. No one would have suspected anything was wrong by looking at me, but I wasn't coping mentally. Before I went to Germany, I was a flurry of energy and enthusiasm for everything that life had to offer. Now I felt listless and despondent and had no interest in anything. I moped around the house and had no idea why I was feeling that way. I was on disability allowance and working 2 nights a week as a barman in a hotel. All I could handle was 2 nights' work because I couldn't cope with any pressure or stress. My concentration levels were 0. My mood was low and I could fly into a panic over the slightest thing. Meanwhile, the tumour was gone. I was cured and it was time to move on and get over it, but I couldn't. The outgoing and confident John Walsh, who'd been around for 23 years, had disappeared and a more troubled soul had taken his place. I only knew I felt sad for no good reason. By now, my friend Fergal had just broken up with another girl. I'm never going to meet anyone, he moaned. I'm going to die alone. I decided it was time to become Galway's answer to Cilla Black. So I arranged to meet my twin, Kathy, in the pub one night and just happened to bring along Fergal. As I suspected, they immediately clicked and now Fergal is my brother-in-law. He repaid the favour by bringing Edel and me together for a third time, more fortuitous meeting. It all started when he rang me at home one evening. Meet me in Galway on Thursday night, he said. A guy I know has designed a new pub called Bazaar, and there are rumours of free drink. You might as well, you're doing nothing on Thursday night anyway. He added, make a real night of it, and stay with Kathy and me. Liskeavy was nearly an hour's drive from the city, so I was happy to take up his offer of a room. I had vague hopes that Edel might be there, but I didn't know for sure that she would. And I couldn't ask Fergal, because that would have triggered awkward questions that I didn't want to answer. I wasn't optimistic about my chances with her, even if she did turn up. Our last encounter hadn't been encouraging, and I thought, if she turned up at all, she'd probably have a boyfriend in tow. It was the 12th of July, the public holiday in Northern Ireland, and the city was hopping with tourists from the north. I spotted Edel among a group of mutual friends as soon as I walked in the door of the pub. Fate played a hand, because the only available seat was next to her. I took it as a good sign that she didn't recoil as I sat in beside her. Hi Edel, how are you? Fine thanks, John. How are you? She remembered my name. It had to be another positive sign. I soon had her cornered and we chatted to the exclusion of everybody around us. I discovered Edel was raised in a farming family in a rural area outside Cashel in Tipperary. When I was having a brain tumour removed in Germany, she spent the year travelling around the world. She was 22 years old, 2 years younger than me, and she studied architecture at UCD. She had moved to Galway to work in Simon J. Kelly and Partners, and I couldn't take my eyes off her as we talked. Her smile had a shyness that gave me a warm glow inside, and she was completely unaware of how lovely she was. Even though she was reserved, she was funny and easy to talk to. Still unsure if she was just making polite conversation, I tested the water at times. I casually touched her knee a few times to emphasize a point in the conversation. When she didn't brush away my hand, I took it as another encouraging sign. I managed to pull Fergal aside at some stage. About Edel, is there anybody on the scene at the moment? I asked him with some urgency. I didn't want to raise my hopes and then have them crushed when she announced that she had a boyfriend at the end of the night. Fergal answered something like, Who needs to know, and what's it worth? There was a bit of unseemly wrestling behind Edel's back before he confirmed that she was single. The next hurdle was to persuade her to see me again. A conversation arose about a charity fundraising dance taking place during the Galway races at the end of the month. Fergal, my sister, and all their friends were going. In a carefully casual tone, I asked Edel if she was going too. "I've no one to go to," she replied. That was my cue and the opportunity I'd been waiting for. "Do you want me to go with you, so?" I asked, shrugging, as if I didn't mind her doing the favour. Then she replied, "Yeah, fine." I did cartwheels in my head. At last, I had secured a first date with Edel. My master plan had worked, but it took a lot longer than I had expected, and it was now 2 years since I first seen her on the stairs in Fergal's house on the Hetford Road. My face was one big beaming smile as I went back to Cathy and Fergal's that night. It had been a long time since I felt this happy. Of course, Fergal wanted to know all about the budding romance with his workmate. It had been my first and real encounter with Edel, but already I'd little doubt in my mind that she was the one for me. I didn't care when Fergal howled with laughter. I knew it was true. "I think I'm going to marry that girl," I told him.